Alrighty, welcome to Gauntlet's Race Mod, and today we are going over my fourth fully completed ship set. These guys are called the Kirani Hierarchy, and if we go to Diplomacy, you can see a bit of their portrait up here on the top right here. Got some nice beige coloring going on, and they're kind of these goofy, upright, slug-type people in biosuits, which is pretty cool. Alright. In terms of attitudes, the Kirani are going to be pretty conservative. They're going to be benevolent. And generally, they live in a very strict, structured society. They're not xenophobic. They're very open to other cultures. Well, other people joining their culture. Because they definitely believe the universe will be a better place when they are running everything. So with that in mind, here we go. We're going to start with the cargo ships. There you go. Here's a colonizer. And you're going to notice probably the most important thing about this set is you're going to notice I'm using some of the founder, I think they're founder only parts that came out opening week. This special cockpit. It's the only rounded domed cockpit you're going to find in the part set, at least to date. And I'm using that actually as a command module and as you'll see it on all the fighters. And it really helped make this set stand out from the others. You might recognize these ships from a previous video. I did have a set for these guys to start with, and I built on top of them. I had to rebuild them a lot because they were suffering from the light bug from the beta where ship parts lighting would get screwed up. You're also going to see this other part, this sort of square angular piece with a round center, used a lot, and these special square antennas. So that's kind of the defining elements of the set. So there you go, that's a colony. Here's a drone carrier, and here you can see kinetic fighters, which we're going to use as our standard fighter model. Really happy with how the fighters came out. I think they're really cool. They're not super complicated, but they got a fun design to them. I think they're good. Yep. And then, of course, it's a carrier. And you know what? I decided to give this drone carrier some guns. And this is my kinetic turret. I'm really happy with how this turret came out. I've done some good turrets before, but this is probably the best. If only because it's got this nice grill plate on the top with the glowing bit moving in and out. Everything's timed right, so it looks like it's firing. Like the ammo box on the left there is moving in and out at the same pace as the gun. There's a turbine spinning in the back with two little tubes kind of bracing it there as well. And then you have a wire, which is awesome, pulsating as if it's literally feeding energy or fluid into the device or something. Or it's just moving because the whole mechanism's kind of vibrating, right? So super happy with how that turret came out. Yeah, it's been interesting not being willing to reuse turrets from other races on each other's ships usually, but I might have to do that at some point because that's just such a good one not to reuse. Notice the fighters here. They have a really nice little docking port that's kind of got some wires hooking up to them for fueling. Really happy with how that came out, though for some reason it was a pain in the ass to get grouped parts to work on this. But got it to work. And I kind of like how the fighters are positioned at an angle this time instead of usually straight on or off to the sides or something. So yeah, there we go. Drone carrier with 4 little gun turrets for self-defense. Okay, moving on. I don't know what I'm going to use this ship for. I'm guessing a constructor. Yeah, I guess we'll use it as a constructor. But this was an experiment to test with, to play with my interesting hex wave effect again. You might remember that from the Fulgar. We did it in a much more organized fashion this time around, and made it a grouped part so I could repeatedly use it, so you might see it more often now. And yeah, so this one's got big power blocks at the bottom that's clearly powering these magnetotrons, or whatever you want to call them, holding up really what looks like wreckage, but I guess you could say it's spare parts for construction or so. And then we have another one, only this one's going to be a transport, and it's carrying big rocks, and you can literally imagine this thing just goes, just spins over onto its underside so that, you know, the top here is really pointed at a planet, and then just lets go of the rocks. And I'm sure the surrender comes forthwith. Okay, so those are your cargoes. Here we go. Here's our probe. Well, not really a probe. Now it's a scout. So for these guys, I decided not to go with an automated probe. They're actually just using a fighter. So this is a cool fighter. It's got these a lot of moving parts, which is nice. Yep. You know what? We'll just skip ahead and we'll do all the exploration themed ones first. So that's your tiny explorer. Here is your small explorer. I really like this ship. You know, he's starting to use the command piece upright now. He's got this reverse dome on top, which is cool. It's got a good engine system, but he's still got something of a wing formation going on there. Yep. And then we have our survey ship, which is the first medium hull. It's carrying 3 scout fighters, for exploration. You can see the 2 docking clamps on either side, which are unoccupied because they're flying, right? So, there you go. Oh, you'll also notice the sort of solar panel arrays on the sides here. You're going to see that on the bigger ships now. Okay, so that's the exploration things. Going back to the tinies, here is our beam fighter. So the sort of this square formation with four total beam cannons are attached. Swept back wings this time. Here's our missile fighter. Decided it didn't need to be as maneuverable, even though it's irrelevant in space. But no swept back wings for him. Instead, he's got this really interesting missile pod system I came up with. Then we've got the kinetic, which is really just using those 2 big tubes on the right and left there. Okay. I decided to be lazy. So for your smalls, you just get the same type of fighter just 3 times in a squadron. So you got 3 different types of squadrons here. Then of course you have that exploration small, and then I also use that to create a all-round attack small. So this has a little bit of everything. It's got 3 kinetic turrets on there. It's got a missile system directly in the front, as well as 2 beams. Okay, moving on to the rest of the mediums. We've got that same hull from the survey ship, only this time it's equipped with missile turrets. So there you go, that's your first missile boat. And then you've got, I think this is the all-rounder. Yep, so this one's got missile bay in the front, it's got laser bays in the front, it's also got some kinetic turrets and some missile turrets. That actually might be the... Yeah, that's the all-rounder. Okay, then we've got our beam. 2 big beam arrays in the front, and all the turrets have been replaced with beam turrets. Zap. And we've got our kinetic. 1 big kinetic cannon up front. Uses a couple missiles, and then the rest of the turrets are all kinetic. Yeah, I must admit, I was a little lazy with this one. I'm trying to get through all 9 sets. So we're reusing a lot of the same basic hulls and just being really thorough about differences in turrets on this set. Which frankly actually does make sense. I mean, you're not going to custom design an entire ship from scratch every time you just decide to use a different weapon. I mean, kind of in real life, unless it really calls for it. So a lot of the similarities in hulls is not a big deal, I think, but whatever. It's just me making excuses. All right, here is our balanced large battleship hull. So it's got a mixture of kinetic turrets kind of in the middle, all mostly facing forward and arrayed so that they can all fire. You've got some missile launchers in the front, as well as 4 big beam turrets, and you've got 4 beam turrets in the middle there, as well as another missile emplacement in the center of the hull, and then little missile turrets in the back. And this one uses an interesting command deck thing. It's kind of got this bug-like carapacing going on, resulting in those tubes. But yeah, really happy with this. This is one of my earlier models that I had to basically rebuild, and I think it came out nicely. All right, missile ship. Really just took off almost all the turrets except for the missile ones, and added a bunch of the missile arrays on the right and left side there. Really interesting formation there. I've done repeated missile bays many times now, which is a nice effect. This one's different though because it's in a semicircle and not just all angled in one direction. So yeah, I like it. I'm not in love with it. I probably should have put more effort in and maybe changed up the whole front half of this ship. That would probably help this. We did also add a bunch of big boxes to the middle top, and I guess you can imagine those are just like the tops of the giant ammunition crates that must be necessary to feed those things. Okay. Moving on. Now we've got our beam, and this one does change the hull a little bit. You've got this sort of hammerhead formation now, which I really like. Yep, there you go. So lots and lots of beams. On the larges, I'm mixing and matching turrets and other weapon systems. So it does have some kinetics and it does have some missile pods, but as you can see in the front, it's just got a big formation of beams. Kinetic, big cannon, all kinetics. And then we've got our carrier. Really just mounted a bunch of fighters here on the top. Yep. And if you're counting fighters, it's basically got a dock on the underside here that's empty, a dock on the top here that's empty, and one missing from the formation of 5. So this thing technically can carry 7 fighters in terms of how it's modeled. Alright, and finally, this is a really neat ship. Had a lot of fun with this one, just playing around with the front hull. This is your support battleship, so this is what the AI uses for special things like beam support and stuff like that. So it's got some armaments, but I really reduced the guns. I put some of our scanner type stuff going on, and I did this weird angled formation, and then added in these glowy bits here in the middle. I think it really works. It really gives the idea that the whole front is maybe some sort of sensor array. Or, yeah. Okay. Huge. Moving on up. This one, all-purpose. Very unique front on these, but otherwise pretty much the same model. It's got more missiles and more turrets, and that's what's going on here, but the front is a bit different. Lots of little turrets. Alright, so that's your all-rounder. Then you've got your missile ship. Lots of repeated missiles going on here. Then you've got your beam. I did the angled thing with the sides again. Zap. So I like that. You can really tell that, I was rushing through to get this set done, but I still like them. I like them a lot. I really just didn't feel like messing with the overall format. I thought it worked. So, there you go, kinetics. And then finally the carrier. I did put in some more effort onto the carrier. The front here is definitely different. It's got more of these sort of platforms you've gotten used to that's holding the fighters. It's still pretty well armed, and this one can carry 14 fighters, because the underside is also stocked with landing clamps and little fighters and stuff. And you've got this really neat extra command center going on here with more scanners, since presumably it needs to communicate with all the fighters and be encrypted. There you go. Alright, thanks guys, thanks for watching, and yeah, the fourth set is done. We're Almost at the halfway point. I'd say I'm halfway done because I do have at least 6 models for the other 5 ship sets I'm working on already. It's just a matter of fleshing them out. So, woohoo, getting closer. Thanks, guys.